Welcome to my discussion on 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. To start, let us unlock first our mission for this journey. First, we are going to explicate the meaning and nature of literature. We're also going to determine the divisions of literature. Thirdly, we are going to identify the different hallmarks of the following: literary standards, literary genres, literary techniques and devices, and literary models. We're also going to juxtapose literature vis-a-vis history. And lastly, we are going to appreciate the extent of literature in all aspects of human environment. So let's go! Let's showtime! In this activity, you are going to define literature without defining its meaning. So, meaning to say, you are going to define literature based on the talents or skills that you have got. So what are you waiting for? Let's showtime! Let us now define the meaning of the word literature. Literature is a total preserved writings belonging to a given language and people. But our definition should not stop here. We must also explore the different definition of the word in order for us to understand and appreciate the meaningful and powerful definition of it. Let's start! The first definition is: literature tells a story, dramatizes a situation, expresses emotions, analyzes and advocates ideas. Literature came from the word litera, which means letter. Letter that deals with ideas, thoughts, emotions of man. Thus, it can be said that it is the story of man. The second definition is that it helps us grow personally and intellectually. Literature is a faithful production of life, in a sense that it is a product and a commentary on life process. The third is, it shapes our goals and values by clarifying our own identities. Literature is our life story. Your story, my story, our story. Whether it is told and untold, it includes the struggles, ideas, failures, victories, sacrifices, and happiness experienced by the person. The fourth one is, it provides an objective base for knowledge and understanding. When we say objective, it is a fact-based or measurable information, ideas. It allows a person to step back in time and learn about life. In this definition, we can say that it is the best way to understand human nature fully and to know the nation completely. And lastly, literature makes us human because it appeals to man's higher nature, which includes emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and creative needs of a person. Up to the next definition of literature. Literature is considered the significant human experience because it offers us an experience in which we should participate as we read and test what we read by our own experiences. The seventh definition is, it entertains and gives pleasure. Literature is a relaxing escape from reality, and it fills leisure moments. The eighth definition is, it arouses noble emotions. Through literature, we learn the innermost feeling and thoughts of people, the most real part of themselves. Thus, we gain an understanding not only of others, but more importantly, an understanding of ourselves and of life itself. The ninth one is, it fires imagination. It illuminates life. We make readers feel interested and excited on the different literary pieces That's either we read, we reproduce, we watch, and we perform. Lastly, literature endures expression of significant human experiences. It enriches man by enabling him to reflect on life and by filling him with new ideas. Combining all the 10 definitions that we have gathered, we arrive with this definition of literature. Literature is anything and everything that reproduces life experiences. It collects, organizes, and sums up the entirety of humanity, adding more color to the human soul. With this definition, we could also answer the question, why do we read literature? We read literature for information, for amusement, for higher and keener pleasure, for cultural upliftment, and for the discovery of a broader dimensions in life. There are two divisions of literature. The first is the prose and the poetry. And in order for us to determine the meaning of these two divisions, let us juxtapose them based from different factors. First is in terms of meaning. A prose is a written or spoken language in its ordinary form, while in poetry, it is an art form in which human language is used for its aesthetic qualities. In terms of features, the prose is written in a paragraph form, while in poetry, it is written in stanza or verse form. For the language of prose is applied for ordinary grammatical structures, natural and straightforward, while in poetry, the language is meant to convey in an expansive, figurative, or less condensed way through the quality of beauty and intensity of emotion. We have also another factor to consider in juxtaposing the two. In terms of appeal, the prose appeal is to the intellect, while in poetry is for the emotion. In terms of characteristics, a prose is an ordinary form grouped into paragraph, while poetry focuses on metrical structure. Lastly, the aim. The aim of the prose is to convince, inform, instruct, imitate, and reflect, while the poetry, it aims to steer the imagination and set an ideal of how life should be. Combining all these factors, we arrive with this definition of prose and poetry. Prose accentuates the ordinary form of spoken and written language, which applies grammatical structure and restricted with rules. Mean to say that in prose, it focuses in an ordinary form of language, while in poetry, it conveys ideas, emotional experiences through the use of meter and rhyme or even imagery in a carefully constructed and metrical structure based on rhythmic patterns. It is called a poet, we mean to say persona or speaker, and trying to invoke or to reveal the emotion and feelings. That's why it's called poetry. That's it. Thank you.